Our first order of business is an appointment. This is with mayor's appointment with council concurrence. The appointment is to James F. Weber as Chief Municipal Judge. Term expires 12/31/2020. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Council, thank you. Yes, Judge Weber and his entire staff run a very safe and efficient court 2 days a week here in Old Bridge. So I'm recommending and I'm appointing Judge Weber for another 3-year term. Anyone who has hopefully not been here to court but has witnessed, as I have a number of times, I think would agree that Judge Weber does a really good job here in Old Bridge with the amount of cases that he hears. As I said, we only have it 2 days a week. So that's why I'm reappointing him.
Great. Any comments for Mayor Henry about the appointment? Can I get a motion, please?
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Rosencrantz. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mrs. Panos. Roll call, please, on the appointment.
Mrs. Dungey? Yes. Dr. Greenberg? Mr. Mollis? Yes. Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Soher?
Abstain.
Mrs. Walker?
Abstain.
President Cahill?
Yes.
5 yes, 3 abstentions.
Next order of business, a presentation. Senator Sam Thompson is to present a KIA Killed in Action flag to the Township of Old Bridge. Senator Thompson?
Thank you, Mr. Council President. On August 7th, the governor signed S-1497, a bill designating the KI flag. It is not that long. If I may, I'll read what it is about. An act designating the Killed in Action flag as an official state flag and supplementing Chapter 3 of Title 52 of the revised statutes. Whereas since our nation's founding, brave men and women have given their lives for this country through their service in the armed forces of the United States, and whereas this state supports its many resident service members and veterans and is grateful for their sacrifices, especially for the sacrifices of those who paid the ultimate price with their lives. And whereas the Killed in Action KIA flag seeks to honor those who have fallen in action and ensure their service is never forgotten. And whereas it is believed that in 1993, a Vietnam veteran who wished to remain anonymous visited the Vietnam War Memorial in Washington, D.C., and realized there was no flag in existence at that time that could lead to honor this nation's fallen heroes. And whereas the veteran decided to create a flag and assure the loved ones of fallen heroes that they would always be remembered, and whereas the Killed in Action Honor Flag Program began in 2003 in recognition of those who were killed in combat while serving in the United States military and their families. And whereas the KIA flag is a red flag which depicts the silhouette of a helmet on top of a firearm next to a service member, where the color red represents the blood shed by the members of the United States Armed Forces and Special Services who made the ultimate sacrifice for this country, both at home and abroad. Whereas it is therefore altogether fitting and proper that this state adopt this flag as an official state flag to honor and memorialize all members of the armed forces of the United States who were killed in action or died of wounds resulting from injuries received in action. Now, therefore, be it enacted by the Senate and General Assembly of the State of New Jersey. The Killed in Action flag is designated as an official state flag for recognizing members of armed forces of the United States who were killed in action or died of wounds resulting from injuries received in action in any war or conflict in which the United States has been involved. The KIA flag is a red flag which depicts the silhouette of a helmet on top of a firearm next to a service member. The flag shall be displayed during normal business hours at the State House in Trenton, the principal municipal building in each municipality, and the principal county building in each county seat. It's very appropriate, we didn't time it this way, it's very appropriate that today Vice President Pence was having a ceremony to recognize the 241 American servicemen who were killed in 1983 in the bombing of Beirut. So it's very appropriate we do this today. I've asked for a veteran to come forward and help me display the flag that we brought in.
Thank you, Senator Thompson. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, moving on to approval of minutes of previous meetings. We have a combined meeting and executive session, September 18th, 2017. Do we have any questions about those minutes? Any comments? Can I get a motion to accept, please?
Move it.
Moved by Mr. Rosencrantz. Can I have a second, please? Second by Mrs. Dungy. Roll call, please, on the minutes.
Mrs. Dungy?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Kale?
Yes.
8 yes.
Thank you. Moving on to the bill list. Mr. Rosencrantz?
Thank you, Council President. Bill list for October 23rd, 2017. Accounts payable, October 23rd, 2017, $1,938,129.82.
Can I get a motion, please?
Move it.
Moved by Mrs. Panos. Can I have a second? I'll second it. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Dungy?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Kale?
Yes.
8 yes.
Payroll, October 13th, 2017, $1,062,772.55.
Can I have a motion, please?
I'll move it.
Mr. Rosencrantz, second, please.
Second.
Second, Mrs. Panos. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Dungy?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Kale?
Yes.
8 yes.
Payroll overtime, October 13th, 2017, $32,540.63.
Can I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Mrs. Panos, can I have a second? I'll second the overtime. Mr. Shaw, can you do the breakout, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. As Mr. Rosencrantz indicated, the total overtime is $32,540.63. Outside of the police department, the only uptick is in arena overtime, which was related to the startup of the season. The sworn officers' overtime was $23,917.50. There was no deduction for grant. Deduction for ETO time was $5,884.03, resulting in net overtime for the period was $18,033.47. This represents 421.75 men and women hours. We had 2 sergeants on injured on duties and 1 sergeant on light duty.
Any questions for Mr. Shaw on the overtime? I have a motion to second, right? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Dungy?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Kale?
Yes.
8 yes.
That concludes the bill list for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Rosencrantz. Moving on to public hearings for second reading, ordinance for second reading, ordinance number 1, 2017-23, an ordinance of the Township of Old Bridge amending Chapter 39 of the Code of the Township of Old Bridge entitled Animals by amending Article 3, Dangerous Dogs, under various sections of same. For everybody from the public who wants to be heard on ordinance number 1 for second reading. I'll close the public portion on ordinance number 1 for second reading. Council, any questions, comments about ordinance number 1 for second reading? Can I get a motion, please?
Move it.
Moved by Mrs. Panos. Can I have a second? Second by Dr. Greenberg. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Dungy?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos? Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Kale?
Yes.
8 yes.
Ordinance number 2, 2017-24, an ordinance of the Township of Old Bridge amending Chapter 351-3, separation from municipal service, and Chapter 351-9, longevity pay program of the Code of the Township of Old Bridge. Anybody from the public want to be heard on ordinance number 2? I'll close the public portion. Any questions, comments from the council on ordinance number 2? Can I get a motion, please?
Move it.
Move Mrs. Panos. Can I have a second? Mrs. Dungy, second. Thank you. Roll call, please, on ordinance number 2.
Mrs. Dungy?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Kale?
Yes.
8 yes.
Moving on to preliminary public comments to the council, subject to the following conditions and restrictions. 1, during the preliminary public portion of the meeting, any person may address the Township Council on one subject for a maximum period of 5 minutes. Any such person desiring to speak during the preliminary public portion shall first sign a list maintained by the Township Clerk for such purpose. Comments during the preliminary public comment portion of the meeting shall not encompass second reading ordinances or any other matter for which a comment or public hearing is to occur at the meeting.
Mr. Solomon?
Hello and good evening to everyone. I just want to say, as most people here know, I've been here a few times before to speak about what I feel is a very important subject for the township, and to also keep this on the front burner. It would be, if I didn't continue to speak in front of the council, as I said, to keep it on the front burner about the special needs day program, special needs adult day program. Just want to take this opportunity to thank the mayor and his team for beginning the process of interviewing and speaking to different organizations and working to obtain this need for the town. I'll tell you, the kids are no longer kids, they're outgrowing it, and if anybody doesn't know, when they outgrow, after they turn 21, the school districts and the school system is no longer available to them, so they really need things to do, whether it be jobs or help with certain things. And a day program for this, for the adults then, would be very helpful in Old Bridge. There are other towns that have it, but as I said, they're starting the process, which I'm very thankful for. I would also like to thank the town council members for sharing their interest in this going forward. I know it's going to be a long journey, but I'm sure with everybody's help, we could get it accomplished here. That's really all I wanted to say tonight for this. But thank you.
Thank you.
Karen Benitez?
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Karen Bonadies. I live at 19 Lindsay Circle in Old Bridge, and it's Bonadies. But we got the Karen right this week. I wasn't here. I spoke last week about, the last time we had a town council meeting about the water bill. And I just would like to say a few words again. I was not here when Senator Thompson presented his speech because I had to leave, but as the way I understand it, it says, any municipal or county authority may establish within its district rates or schedules which would provide for reduction or total abatement of the rents, rates, fees, or other charges which are charged or collected from any person residing in the district of the age of 65 or more. And I think he was very clear on the fact that the OBMUA has the right to determine what those rates would be or discounts would be to the seniors in Old Bridge. I am a senior in Old Bridge, and I live alone, and my water bill is extremely high. It is extremely high because the water part of the bill is metered. However, the sewer part of the bill is not metered, and that is a minimum rate that is charged to all the residents of Old Bridge. It is very unfair to seniors because we are on fixed incomes now, and it is difficult to pay. It is very difficult to pay, and I have to say, all you ladies and gentlemen sitting on the town council, at some point in time, you're going to be seniors, and you're going to know what it's like to stand in this spot. I would really like to ask the people, especially the people on the town council who are involved in the OBMUA, to see if you can have any influence in helping the seniors of this community stay in Old Bridge, because it's one of the things that I hear as a county committee person from all the seniors. Everybody is up in arms about this water bill, or I should say, the sewer part of the water bill. So I'm asking your help to have any influence that you can on the OBMUA to lower the rates or give the seniors a discount. I appreciate your help. Thank you.
Thank you.
James Billa and Pat Hall?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hold
Mayor.
on one second.
Sorry.
We have two people
Just
on the
two,
list.
James and Pat?
I'm James, this is Pat.
Okay.
The other people came in a little late, they didn't get a chance to
Okay,
sign
it's all
in.
about the same subject?
Yes,
Okay, go ahead. Just if you can give us your name and address, please, for the record, okay?
James Billia. I reside at 115 Red Pine Loop, Old Bridge, New Jersey. That's at Oakwoods Parkway.
Great.
Mayor and council, I'm here tonight. I attended, and most of us did, the past two planning board meetings. regarding Avalon Bay construction and the opening of Oakwoods Parkway to a public roadway. We, as a residents, are very concerned about opening up Oakwoods Parkway as a thoroughfare highway or roadway. It's dividing our community in half. We have 92 units. Half are on one side of Oakwoods Parkway, the other half are on the other side. We have a pool. We have a lot of children in the area that reside there, cross over Oakwoods Parkway to go to that pool. Right now, there are very few cars going through there. It's only the residents of that community. To me, I'd like to state I'm not an expert witness or a traffic engineer, but I was employed with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey as a police officer, and I do have some knowledge on traffic coordination and safety. Being at Newark Airport, I'm sure you all well know what the traffic conditions are there. And we had to coordinate. I've done a lot of construction and coordinate traffic for safety. So I'm aware of what's going on. The traffic condition on Ferry Road right now is horrible. When I use the word horrible, it gets congested with Route 18. In the summer, it backs up to past Walmarts going northbound on Route 18. What I've done myself, and I've seen a lot of people do this, they cut into Oakwoods, Foxborough Village. There's a right-hand turn there off of 18. I've done it myself to try to bypass that traffic that's from Ferry Road south. You drive through Foxborough Village, you get on Ferry Road, and then you make a left turn to go back onto the intersection of Ferry Road and 18. Now, what's going to happen, and I know this is going to happen, when that thoroughfare, that parkway is going to open up, Oakwoods Parkway, there's no reason now for that traffic to go all the way up to that light. They're going to go through Oakwoods Parkway, and they're going to go down to Marlborough Road, and from there it's either a right or a left, and it's going to bring you on 18. You're going to cause a congestion on Oakwoods Parkway. Traffic is going to be going past that pool area. Children are supposed to cross over. I have heard from the Old Bridge Engineering Department, we're going to have sidewalks and cross-section, crossroads that it should be safe for the children. But you are going to have backup traffic coming in there, and it's not going to be a safe condition. And I think it's urgent that you consider that before opening up Oakwoods Parkway as a public roadway. I have no objection, and I speak for everyone, as far as construction, Avalon Bay. I mean, we all need residents, we all need places to stay. I'm not against that, but I am certainly against having Oakwoods Parkway open as a public road. I think it's going to cause a lot of problems. Thank you for listening to me.
Still got a couple minutes, so not everybody can speak, though. Not everybody signed up. So who would like to? You signed up, didn't you, ma'am? Yes. You want to?
I agree with that.
Okay.
I also work for my name is Patricia Hall. I worked for the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey and the toll division, and I know what traffic, like Mr. Billy has said, when you think you're going to make things better, you only make things worse. We are concerned about all the traffic that will be, no matter if it goes through Oakwoods Park or Foxborough, our Ferry Road. This is all going to lead into Ferry Road. And it's not only our safety that I'm worried about and our children who's crossing these roads, but the members of Old Bridge that now is going to have Dunkin' Donuts, 3 or 4 different 500, 600 cars in Avalon Bay, and the access to this hospital also, I think, is a safety risk for our community, not only our children. They're asking about taking property away from Oakwoods Park, installing sidewalks. And I know that one of the ladies, the previous, I think she's the engineer here, they think that Carmel Court is not affected because the street is facing Carmel Court. They failed to realize in our community, the back of Carmel Court and their bedrooms face Oakwoods Park. Now, they said they were only going, Avalon Bay was here when I was here through the planning boards, and they said they were only opening it as an emergency access to getting to Avalon Bay, which is now putting our community, how are you going to access getting through? Installing a gate? Gate's not going to work. They said sirens are going to be going off at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning only to open a gate to get there. I just think you're taking a very safe, close-knit community and putting it at risk with the safety. And that's not only saying the people that are going to be coming in and going from these low-income rental, it's just going to be a very, very unsafe. Why do you have to divide our community up? We are close-knit, we are safe. Please, please don't come into our community. That's all we ask. Thank you.
Thank you. I know you guys didn't sign up, but maybe just one, you guys all agree, but
was late. Yes, and another
you just
thing
need to go up to the mic, ma'am. I'm sorry, so people can hear you, know.
My name is Svetlana Kisurin. I live in same development,
Yep.
117 Red Pine Loop. They can do the exit to the Cindy Street that actually has already street light to south of Route 9 and north to Route 9. And I know because, my kids, when they growing up, they used to have friends who live off Cindy Street. And for them to go on a bicycle, we went through the woods from our end to the Cindy Street. And that's where Avalon Bay is going to build their community. And I understand everything, like Patty said, we are worried about children because it's not only a pool over there. We have a playground, we have a tennis court, we have a baseball court, and kids go over there by themselves when they're 6 years old. You kind of let them all together go because we're close community. We don't have outsiders. And now, if they're going to open that, we're going to have outsiders, and kids cannot go. And that's what our concern. And when we go to the pool, how are we going to go when it's going to be 500 cars passing through? We had a couple years ago, we had the problem with one of the guards. It was a girl. And the cars was coming too, and they stop and start watching, and it kind of feels she refused to come to work over there. We have to start having all the boys as the guards, and kind of a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. We went way over the 5 minutes, I believe, right? Yeah, so there will be an opportunity at the end of the meeting if you guys want to go up and speak again, but I assume you're talking about the same issue, right? Okay, yeah, thank you. So anybody else?
Anthony Gemello?
Okay, great. Anthony?
You signed in?
It's the same
Oh,
issue.
okay.
If you
All
would
right.
like
Well,
to
you
hear
got 5 minutes. You signed in. Go ahead.
Great,
Okay.
okay. 30 years I've been in the township. I've been here before in front of the board. I've asked for the township to come in and maintain Oakwoods Parkway many, many times. I think Chris, your finance officer, came and met me one day to look at it. He said there was a state grant. We're even going to pave it for you. Do a lot of things. I brought up crosswalks. Nothing was done. For 30 years, we've been maintaining Oakwoods Parkway. When I brought it up to the engineering department years ago, they told me they didn't know the road existed. They didn't even know it was a public street, which proves it because over the course of time during the winter, they don't plow it. They stop at Vanover Drive. The township says that it's county road. The county road starts from Vanover to Route 18 on the jug handle. So you don't even maintain that. It's not up to code to handle the weight of the cars. We can't, it's not even lined now. We can't access correctly on and off Route 18 the way that jug handle is. But the point is that you're dividing a community. And even with, I live in a townhouse, I'm paying $8,000 a year in taxes and dues, okay? Never complained, never asked for any township services because you guys never came in before. Now we came into the equation of this road has to open up. The developer says they don't need it. Yet the township keeps pushing the fact that, well, maybe it's an emergency road. There's many communities in Old Bridge that have one in and out. We have one in and out. I don't understand why you need an emergency road. through our development. But the question in my mind is, who exactly wants this road open? Because nobody's ever explained that. The last meeting was the developer says I don't need it. The meeting after that was the township, Ms. Shapiro said that, no, it should go through because maybe you'll divert traffic from Ferry Road. Well, I don't get that either because why are we the thoroughfare? That doesn't make any sense to me. It was brought up about jug handles. The only thing, question mark in my mind would be that to put in jug handles on Route 18 and to compensate for the traffic would be that's county. And maybe the DOT saying, listen, get lost. We don't want to do this. So it's easy to divert through our community. But again, you're dividing our community. And there's one other thing I want to mention, that when we put in road humps in our development to stop the speeders, Tom Hart, the fire engineer, came down and said, no, I got a law from 1910 with horse and buggy that says in this town you can't put in road humps. The township didn't do anything to help me. So they were removed. Now we hear that we can put in, well, maybe we'll compensate that with little ripples throughout Oakwoods Parkway to stop the speeders. Well, I don't get that. Either it's against the law or it is the law. So you can't put anything down there to prevent those speeders. And sooner or later, because we are a divided community and people have to cross over to that pool, somebody's going to get killed, okay? It might be a child. It might be a woman with a stroller with a baby in it. Somebody's going to get hurt. What are you going to do? Put up the traffic light after the accident? Please, do us a favor, okay? I love you guys, but for 30 years, nobody's been there for us. I'm not asking for you to be there now. Just leave us alone.
Okay, that concludes the list of people that signed in. Move on to councilmember comments. Anybody from the council want to be heard?
President?
Mr. Mollis.
Yeah, this is a comment and a congratulations to a young lady from Cliffwood Beach who recently got a appointment to the United States Air Force Academy. She's out there at the prep school now. It's a 10-month school, and then she will go on, hopefully. I have no doubts at all in my mind about this young lady. She'll go on to the regular Air Force Academy. I want to thank the mayor, Owen Henry, for writing a real nice, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, but several months ago, the girl called me up because she knew my son had gone through the Air Force Academy and asked me if I would help her with her application. So the first thing I said, well, let's see some transcripts. I got some people in mind. So she sent me she brought over some transcripts within the hour, and I got a look at her transcript. I forwarded one to the mayor and one to Senator Sam Thompson, who also wrote a very nice letter of recommendation. And I also notified my son, Lieutenant Colonel Dan Mollis, United States Air Force, out in California where he was stationed at the time. And they went to work on it. We got letters of recommendation. My son called Frank Pallone, Congressman Pallone. We needed a congressman to sign off on our application. And my son reminded him that he signed his application 25 years ago. So it sort of softened things up, and Frank was willing to go ahead and do it after he saw her transcript also, and he interviewed her. So she's out there right now. Her name is Alyssa Nauset. She's from Cliffwood Beach. She was the commander of the ROTC for the last couple of years here in Old Bridge, and I want to wish her all the luck in the world. I keep in touch with her and her mother, and she's really a great girl. She's a 4.8 GPA here at Old Bridge High School. Wow. So she has a lot of good qualifications for it. She's going to work out real well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mollis. Who else want to be heard in the council? Mrs. Walker.
Yes, I have a few things. I've been getting quite a few phone calls because, as we know, the old Marleybone on Route 34 has put up a sign, Red Zebra Gentlemen's Club, and it's a residential neighborhood, and I've had quite a few complaints. I didn't realize that that place was opening as a gentleman's club. I thought it was going to open up as a bar. Is there anything we can do to make it just stay a bar?
There.
Short answer is no. There was a lawsuit filed when the transfer took place, court order out of Middlesex County Superior Court. indicating that the ordinance that was passed by the town restricting that type of entertainment could not and would not apply to this license because it pre-existed. The presiding judge in Middlesex signed the order, Judge Happus. It was signed by, let me see, Mr. Convery, who was the township attorney, September 14, 2010, and the order was filed by Judge Happus on October 4, 2010. So the short answer is no, there's nothing you can do about that.
I know some other council want to comment on that, but I just have a few other things I wanted to say first. About the people that came to speak, I just want to emphasize that our planning and zoning board meetings are no longer televised, and I think that's a shame, because a lot of people can't get out, and they don't know what's going on. But I want everybody to keep on the township website to see when the meetings are, because there are quite a few developments coming, and that Ferry Road, it is a nightmare. You can't even get out on Ferry Road right now, and I know right now there's proposed 252 units and then another 150. When they're built, it's going to be impossible to move on Ferry Road. And I understand about your concern about opening up the Oakwoods Parkway. I, too, think it's going to be a terrible idea, because I think it's going to be used as a speedway to get to Route 18. It's going to be a nightmare. Anyone that lives around here realizes it's a terrible, terrible thing. The town is so large, and it seems like we're trying to put everything into small little areas. I didn't want the zoning over there changed. I voted no for that, but please watch the TV and tell your neighbors to come to the meetings as much as you can, because there's a lot more things coming. I think this Thursday, I believe there's another zoning board meeting, so keep on the lookout, because they're going to try to put apartments over a strip mall, so please stay alert. Also, on the agenda, I see at the discussion items, we have the MUA is going to give for discussion. And I was just wondering why we can't move them ahead, because there are attorneys here and it's costing the town money. So I don't understand why we can't move them ahead of the schedule. And that's like we usually do during like liquor license and things like that. It's a courtesy, professional courtesy.
Is that a question to me? It's a question to you. Yeah, so it was described to me as a discussion item. That's why I put it as a discussion item. That's, the discussion items go at the end of the agenda. Ms. Sohar, you wanted to go?
Yeah, I did. Also in reference to the Zebra Lounge, I also got, I can't even tell you how many emails of concern from the residents who live there. And during the course of all this with the liquor license, to my recollection, Gentlemen's Club was never part of the equation. I don't believe that was ever part of the name or anything that had to do with the license. Stella, was there any reference to Gentlemen's Club?
No, not on the licenses. It just said Red Zebra.
Right, so this to me is a red flag, never mind Red Zebra. But the bottom line is, I don't think that had that been, moniker had been put to it, that all of us would have been the same way about this. I really think we should revisit it if we could and see what we can do about this, because none of us, I don't think any of us knew that that was going to be the name of the club.
Huh?
As far as that goes, yes. As far as the planning board is concerned, I agree with Mrs. Walker. You have to make sure you're there, and also please rally your elected officials to come. I was there the other night, Mrs. Walker was there, Dr. Greenberg, and I think it's good when the elected officials come and they listen and they see exactly what's going to happen as a result of these developments. So if I were you, I would ask your officials that are in your ward, your at-large people, to please come and sit with you and see if they can give some advice and some help here as to what's going on in your development.
Finished? Okay. Dr. Greenberg, you had your hand up?
Yes, multiple things. First of all, with the Red Zebra Club, that I have to reiterate, we would have never voted on it if it did say a gentleman's club there, for many reasons. And the problem is, this law, they had a lawsuit, and we lost based on an ordinance that was changed, so we wouldn't have any more gentlemen club. So the judge voted against us. But I find it very unfortunate, the attorney at that time, Mr. Convery, in the previous administration, maybe why he didn't think to appeal it, that I don't know the merits of the case, but it is unfortunate that we have to now live with this, and we want to keep communities really in a certain light for the people that live there. It seems like the residents really don't have a say that a lot of times that what goes on in their neighborhood, and it is very unfortunate. So I wish this could be revisited based on we voted when we didn't have that accurate information. That's the first thing. As Mrs. Walker said, I was on the planning board for 6 years, and all those meetings were televised, and I think they should be televised again. But I thank the residents always for coming out, because really, the representatives on that board should vote really for what is appropriate for that area, but also to build it in a way that is beneficial for the residents that live here now and the residents in the future. And it will be a traffic nightmare. There's many other areas of land in the town where that development could be built. It's an inappropriate to burden that area. I know what happens from 18 to 9. It's a disaster. I travel it, and with the Acme there, Old Amboy Road, Foxborough, and everyone getting out of work at the same time, it's very difficult. But also going to the discussion item, I hope the president does allow them to speak. It's not really a discussion, it's a continuing of a presentation. It is foolish to let the attorney sit here till the end of the meeting when I think already residents came up and spoke about the MUA. I think he could provide a lot of information for them. So I'd like to move that forward and move that up if you'd give that the appreciation to do that, as you would for other attorneys that come here, whether it's liquor licenses or anything else. We do that on a regular basis, and I think it's unfortunate if we don't do it in this situation. It affects taxpayers and ratepayers.
Finished?
No, I can go on too. So then also the other thing that I'd like to talk about is the aggressive plan ordinance that was brought up several months ago. I'd like to know what the status of that is and where we're at that. I've had residents continue to call me that it's a problem, and I know that our forester and the president of the Shade Tree Commission brought something forward, Mr. Lavallo, so I'd like to know where we stand with that.
That'll be on the November 13th meeting.
Okay, great. And then the last thing before, which I hope we let the MUA attorney come forward, I asked last time to our auditor about the parking authority that that we had an increase of $59,000 over last year. And when I asked what was the difference, I was told that it was because we didn't take money out of the parking authority and use it for other things like the prior administration did. But it really didn't answer me the question, why is there an increase of $59,000? Do we do more permits or anything like that? Or is it solely based on that it wasn't used?
Mr. Shaw?
I think there is a number of cost reduction that took place that resulted in we have the same revenue. We have same permit fees. We haven't changed our rates. We have a daily fee of $1. So it's not the revenue equation for the last year, but we had didn't have the snow cost as high because we didn't have to deal with the snow as much. So those are the main reason, big reasons for that. That we had additional $59,000 ended up in a surplus.
So the revenue is the same, actually, what we brought in. What was the revenue the year before compared to now? Was there any difference?
I don't have that number with me. I can certainly provide you on November 13, or I can email you the detail of those, and it's going to be part of our budget discussion available too. But I will certainly email you the detail of revenue to date, or last year and this year to date.
Thank you.
Finished? Finished? Anybody else want to be heard? Mr.
Can
Rosencrantz?
I ask a question on, we were talking about the Red Zebra Gentlemen's Club. So when we approved the license for the alcohol transfer from Heath doing business as Marleybone, which was also that type of an establishment, we didn't segregate any different in the name of the establishment. But basically, the establishment's going to still conduct the same type of business. Okay, that's what I wanted to understand. Same type of business.
Same type of business.
Except
The
it just
name
says,
wasn't on there.
it
That-
just says Gentlemen's Club instead of Red Zebra that we approved. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else want to be heard from the council? Mrs. Dungy?
Yes, going back to the attorneys for the MUA, is there, what was the reason they couldn't go forward earlier?
No,
Because-
it's on the agenda as a discussion item, and Dr. Greenberg and Mrs. Walker had asked to be moved up because the attorney's here, which I didn't know the attorney was going to come, but I'll get to that during council comments, so that's the reason. Any other questions, Mrs. Dungy? Mrs. Dungy, any other questions?
No, wondering, based on that,
Yeah.
and we are paying them a nice fee,
Sure.
if we move them up a little
Had
bit.
I known, if somebody would have contacted me. Anybody else want to talk? Okay. So regarding the MUA, I thought it was a follow-up discussion. That's what I was told through the clerk. The chairman has my phone number and email. He could have contacted me. He did not. Excuse me? Did I speak when you were speaking, Mrs. Walker? I did not. I'd appreciate you not speaking when I'm speaking. Thank you very much. So he did not contact me. I didn't realize the attorney was going to be here. Dr. Greenberg's absolutely right. The ratepayers are paying for that. So I would ask the MUA to come up and do a continuing discussion. Hopefully it'll be brief because we spent over an hour talking about their fine operations, and I'd like to conclude this if we could. I would ask that the discussion please be professional and factual, both sides of the table. The last time we had a discussion, again, the MUA came here to talk about their operations. It was a state requirement so we can get funding. I think they did a good job giving us an overview, and hopefully this discussion will clear up some, excuse me, Mrs. Walker, can you please not talk when I'm talking? Would that be possible at all? I hope this discussion is productive and it fills in some of the gaps. So, gentlemen, if you could identify yourselves, please, and we'll move forward.
I'm Art Haney, Chairman of the Board of Commissioners at the MUA.
Great.
Just as a point of clarification.
Push the button.
Push the button on
Button?
the bottom.
There you go.
I'm Art Haney,
Art,
Chair.
just move a little bit closer if you
Okay,
could, I'm
please.
sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, we always have problems with the audio. Thank you.
Okay, can we hear me now?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I'm Art Haney, Chairman of the Board of Commissioners at the MUA. As a point of clarification, I did what was appropriate. I called the clerk's office and asked to go on the agenda for the authority. The clerk had told me she spoke with you. I explained the purpose of coming forward.
And it was a
Explained
discussion.
that it would probably be 15, 20 minutes unless there was further discussion you wanted from the board. I wasn't aware that we call you directly now instead of calling the clerk.
Well, had there been a sense of urgency and I knew the attorney was going to be here, we could have had that conversation. Maybe things would have been cleared up versus discussing on the agenda. But why don't we just move forward?
All right, and with us?
Yeah, Mitchell Jacobs, Clary Giacobbe Alfieri, and Jacobs, General Counsel to the MUA.
Great.
The reason we came here, of course, you saw at the last meeting, we gave you a full presentation on the Municipal Utilities Authority, clear and concise about the operation, what the authority does, and certainly we were happy to come here and do that, and for it to go out and the public be able to see that as well. However, at the question period towards the end, we were asked about discounts for people 65 and over. And at that point, we indicated that we do give discounts, and quite honestly, we've been giving you discounts for over 20 years now. As a matter of fact, when I was the director, we increased them from 10% to 20%. And there were limited restrictions on there, financial restrictions, but at that time, Councilwoman Panos kept insisting that 65 and over, anybody can get it, and Senator Thompson came up saying the same thing. So I asked our attorney to please verify, in case we have an error here, that we could give discounts to people who don't have financial difficulties. And I will let the attorney speak, but the bottom line here is we still have the same financial restrictions that's established in state statute. So we cannot arbitrarily give everybody 65 years or older discounts from the Municipal Utilities Authority. We certainly do care about the citizens and our ratepayers. We show that just by the fact that we've been doing it for over 20 years. And I might add that we are one of the very few authorities that do provide discounts to the ratepayers. And I wanted that to be cleared up so the public understood as well that there are available discounts from the utility authority, and currently we do them at 20%, but they are limited and restricted by state statute and the state legislature. And quite honestly, I'd like to see the state legislature extended, because I think the limitation of $10,000 over the Social Security that was put in 1992, that was 25 years ago, I think that's become more restrictive, and more people find it difficult to live on $10,000 above Social Security. So I think it should be expanded to a greater degree, $15,000, $20,000, but I leave that up to the legislature to do. We also would give it to people who have the PAD, the Pharmaceutical Assistance Program that the state provides. But again, there's a financial restrictions and qualifications, and they have restrictions on individuals different than the $10,000 restriction. There's $26,000 and I believe it's $32,000 for married couples. But again, they would have to be qualified for the PAD and receive the PAD for us to go ahead and give them that. And I wanted that to make clear that everybody understood that. And I'll turn this over to Mr. Jacobs so he can tell you his findings, and we'll answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Members of the council, thank you for the opportunity to come speak tonight and for moving us up on the agenda. I can't really add that much more than Mr. Haney has already described to you tonight. I do know that there was some misunderstanding, and some people held the belief that anybody over 65 could get a discount from their water and sewer charges. That's just not the case. Just being 65 does not entitle someone under the statute, and that statute is 40:14B-22.2. Just because you're 65 does not entitle you to the discount. There are qualifications that you have to meet, so qualified people over 65 years old are entitled to the discounts, and that's the program that the authority has been running for at least the last 20 years. And as Mr. Haney just mentioned, there's really two classifications of people that once they attain the age of 65, the requirements that they have to meet. One is either that they meet an income threshold of $10,000, and there's a computation to determine what that $10,000 actually is. And then the second one is if they're eligible under the Pharmaceutical Assistance to the Aged and Disability Act, which again, if you're eligible under that act, you're also eligible for the discount from the authority for water and sewer charges. So if anybody were to come to the authority and they met the income qualifications or they were eligible for PAD, they'd be entitled to the discounts. I did have the opportunity to review the proposed resolution for tonight, and I understand that the council is urging the authority to try to increase those people who are over 65 and over who are eligible for the discount, but the way that the resolution is worded would usurp the statute, and it's not something that the authority is able to do. Again, my suggestion, as Mr. Haney's, was that if the law needs to be changed, it needs to be changed. Maybe that $10,000 is too low. It very, very well could be. But that has to be done by the legislature. We cannot impose our own rules and regulations determining who's eligible. We have to stick to the letter of the law. That's what the authority has been doing, and that's what they're going to continue to do.
Okay, great. You guys finished? I'm sure the council might have a question or two.
Sure.
Okay. Anybody from the council want to be heard on this item?
Can I ask a question?
Mr. Rosencrantz.
On the resolution that's on the agenda, let's see, I guess it would be item number 2 at the very top. And just a point of clarification, so it says, establish rates or schedules that provide for a reduction of rates which are charged to or collected from any person residing in the district of age 65 or more years and whose total income is less than $32,680. So you're referring to an income and you're referring to an age. Is the authority restricted to that, those numbers?
There's two types of people who are over 65 years old who are entitled. One is if there's a $10,000 income threshold. And again, that $10,000 is determined in a certain way. There are certain things that aren't included in it, such as Social Security payments, some specific state-type pensions, but it's a calculation. The other qualification is the PAD program. That PAD program for a married couple has that $32,000 threshold in it. So you can't interchange the two. You can't say all of a sudden that you want a $32,000 threshold just because the PAD program says it. It's either eligibility under PAD, which is determined by the state. It's a state program. So if somebody were to come into the authority with a PAD identification card, which shows that they're eligible, then the authority would give them that discount. If somebody came in to the authority and was able to prove that they met the $10,000 income threshold, they would also be entitled to it. But you can't interchange the two income threshold amount.
What type of discount would they be looking for or at?
Well, right
or
now,
available?
it's 20%.
20% of their water, sewer, both?
Right.
Correct.
Both?
Yes.
Okay.
We agree. We feel that the $10,000 limitation in particular is low in this day and age. It's been 25 years, and would encourage the state legislature, the Assembly and the Senate to take action to change that. And if they do, there might be more people that would be able to be added to it.
So let me ask one further question. The 20% is set by the MUA or by the?
By the MUA. The MUA can determine the percentages. And that, of course, is based upon the ability of the MUA to cover the cost. Because if it's too great a cost, then you start getting into millions of dollars.
Sure.
Then that burden gets put on to the other ratepayers.
So it's within the MUA's authority to increase that percentage instead of playing with the other numbers, the age and the PAD restriction for the amount. But you can accommodate a further discount by increasing the percentage that is available.
Legally speaking, yes. The statute authorizes the authority to set that discount, and it's totally subjective up to them. However, a total financial analysis would have to be undertaken because, as you know, that every dollar that you take away in discount, somebody else is
Somebody
paying
has to make it up. The expenses are the expenses.
So it would require a financial analysis to determine whether, in fact, it's doable or not.
Okay.
Comments on this? Dr. Greenberg, should you be speaking on this, actually? I'm not sure.
I'll let the attorney
Well,
Yeah, you really shouldn't. You're a commissioner. You shouldn't be discussing this. And obviously, if there's a vote, you shouldn't participate. Be no different than when President Kale steps down on things to do with cable, telephone, internet.
Anybody else want to be heard?
You're indicating to, I'm sorry, it's just a question.
Yes, sir.
The attorney. So you're saying that any council member that sits on the authority should not be discussing the authority with the council?
No, I'm saying should not be participating in the conversation that may come up for a vote or not. This is about a resolution, and it shouldn't, it's one thing at the last meeting when you had your overview of the MUA and everything, that's fine. But when there's a resolution on the agenda that's going to come up for a vote, there's clearly a conflict of interest for Dr. Belli to be participating in the conversation either way.
So even though they're not employed by the MUA?
Correct. She's absolutely. Absolutely, whether she's an employee or not, she's a commissioner.
Not to get too far into it, but the
No.
only reason I ask is when I was here when we merged them, I was a council member.
Right.
And I was also a mayor. And one of the things we wanted to do, although it was not written that council members would be appointed to the MUA, but we encouraged at least one council member to be appointed so that there was someone who could represent the council and provide information to the council and keep them updated and be involved in the MUA because the council created the utility authority.
Right, they created it, but now it's an independent authority.
But then the purpose of having a council member on the authority,
That's a decision you folks can change as commissioners. But the fact is that Dr. Bella is an active commissioner. She votes on things that go on at the MUA decisions, and she's also a council person and would participate in a vote on a discussion of a resolution tonight. And whether that resolution gets tabled or taken off the agenda, it's clearly a conflict of interest for her to be participating either way, whether she agrees or disagrees with the resolution or the issue at hand, which is the senior discounts.
Talk about the resolution that's on there tonight. But I do just want to ask the attorney and So that's why I want just
Okay.
clear. That's why I want clear. So basically, when we have people that we give discounts to, we just do it, just to make sure that my memory serves me right, for clarification. We don't have people come in and fill out applications. We basically do what the town does. We piggyback off them. So if the town's giving people discounts, we automatically give them a discount.
that was the policy that was established early on, rather than put people through the entire application process all over again, because they have to show proof of income, and there's a lot of things that they have to show proof of to get this done. We recognized that if the township approved them, that they had therefore met the obligations of proof, and we automatically gave them the discount. Now, we can start the application process, that's not a problem. It was just to save them the trouble of coming in with proof of their income tax and all these other documents to prove that they don't earn in excess of the regulation. We figured there was no point in forcing them to duplicate that.
I just want to make that clarification that as you said, you've been doing this for 20 years, and basically if the town gives the discount to the taxpayer, it's been automatic then through the MUA, and then at some point in time, it went from 10% to 20%, and basically, because I looked at the off the website, the New Jersey rebate programs, and in the town, on the municipal side, the seniors' annual property tax deduction is they get $250 from their property taxes if they're 65 or older or disabled, or they have to meet a requirement less than $10,000 income, excluding the Social Security benefits and residency. So you're actually doing the same thing, because it's obviously the state law, and the only way it could be changed is if Assembly and the state changes it. Okay, thank you for that clarification. I just wanted to say that I never remembered us doing applications that you just did the same as what the town did.
Anybody else want to be heard on the MUA discussion?
Can I ask one more question?
Go around first before anybody, I want to hit people that haven't gone first. Mrs. Soar?
Yeah, I just wanted to make it clear in my mind. In other words, the rates, the amount of money, the income that drives this, you can't change how you would give discounts to seniors based on that income. In other words, you couldn't say, well, we can make the income $40,000 or $50,000. So that being said, this would only apply still to the people who meet the state guidelines. So what we're talking about then is, as far as discount is concerned, what the effect would be of increasing the discount percentage, correct? Okay.
Right.
All
Yeah,
right.
we cannot come up with a classification of ratepayer that we will change the rate for. They're all residential, they all pay the same. It's the state who is able to make the classification for seniors based on certain circumstances. We can't arbitrarily go out and say, well,
That's what I mean.
Seniors at 60 will get it, or
Make $50,000 and.
6 children will get it. It's arbitrary, we can't do that. Everyone, it's water, it's a critical service that we provide, and everybody is treated equally when it comes to that. So the state was the only one, the legislature, that could change that. They did it by this legislation in 1992. I think they made a few changes along the way, but I think you're right, and we see it ourselves, that it would be much better if the state relooked at the financial obligations, considering the bill is 25 years old, and things are costing a lot more, and it's much more difficult for people.
Right.
Yeah, you run into the same thing with the taxes. You only give a $250 discount for seniors who meet the qualifications. They don't even allow you the opportunity to give a percentage. If it was percentage, you could give a 10 or 20%.
But they have
reduction,
increased
which
it.
would be more significant. It's been $25 for 25 years. So again, that's something else that should really be looked at as well. But it's restricted. You have to get it done at the state legislature. So you have to get the Assembly and the Senate to pass the bills and the governor to sign it for you to do that. And for us to do this, it's the same thing. It's, even though the pad number for a married couple is the number you put down, the statute doesn't give a number. It says they qualify for pad. They qualify for pad, we give it to them. If they don't qualify for pad, but they do have that $10,000 restriction on their income over Social Security, then they would qualify and get it there.
So if I could just add to that, because it relates to your question. The resolution as it's currently written, in my opinion, it's asking the authority to do something they can't do. So.
I think people were thinking probably to widen the base that, receive discounts to try to give, and what they felt was maybe some more relief to certain, to people. But from what you're telling me, they can broaden the base because the income limits are set by the state.
Correct, well, by statute.
By statute, rather, yeah. So, okay, I just want to make sure I was clear on that as well. Thank you.
And that's honestly why we reached a point where we felt we could do something more than we were doing, so we doubled it, raised it to 20%. But we do have to pay attention to the overall cost. You don't want to shift more burden onto the other ratepayers, so when the opportunity is available, we do some things and then try to make an adjustment we can.
Anybody else want to be heard? Mrs. Panos?
I disagree with your assessment. I understand you are hired by the MUA and you work for the MUA and you're going to lean that way. So I'm going to continue with that resolution. By the way, do you give discounts to active servicemen as the statute allows?
If they, under the statute, we would give them
They
whatever.
are entitled. My question is, do you give it?
Nobody's asked.
So,
It calls for a time of war.
no, active service.
Active service and they have to be deployed and during the time of war. So, as Mr. Haney is saying, nobody's ever applied for it. If they do apply for it, I'm not exactly sure how you figure out whether we're at war or not,
There was the Gulf War. Did you give it during the Gulf War?
Well, I do, but I don't know that if we're actively involved in war now. But the point of the matter is, if anybody comes to the authority asking for a discount because they're currently deployed in a time of war, as the statute says, the authority would give it to them.
Okay, that's right. Maybe they'll send their wife because they're deployed, but or their husband. I'm still going to go with that because I disagree with it. This statute says any municipality, we can read this, county authority may establish within its district rates or schedules a reduction for total blah, 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 at the age of 65 or more years, and the or part is what you're basing your result on, that you have to be on pad and all that. Listen, I'm not, the discussion.
But can I just
understand what you're
respond?
saying, and I want you to
I'm
understand what
reading
Hold on,
it.
just let her finish the statement
Okay,
before you.
sorry, go ahead.
I understand what you're saying, sir, and I just want you to understand what I'm saying. I disagree with your assessment of this ordinance. I'm going to, we'll bring it before the legislature, but I'm going to keep that resolution tonight. I'm going to ask that this gets included with the active service. And is this a continuation of there's one thing I forgot to ask last week. This is off, I understand where you're coming from. You don't have to, you don't have to pay the money. I know where you're coming from.
But can I make a suggestion to you? I know that some people could misinterpret the way that the statute was written due to punctuation. Look at the punctuation, look at the word and wait, and go back and look at the legislative history, which the bill was introduced back in 1992. I would suggest that you go back and read the legislative history where it talks about that $10,000 income qualification in it. So that's just a suggestion.
Okay. There's one other thing I forgot to ask. Someone told me of a trust fund. Is there a trust fund in the MUA that at one point there was money put into it? Are you aware of any trust fund in the MUA. That the, Betty English, I would like somebody in the audience told me about it, and I wasn't aware of it. What's it called?
Environmental Infrastructure Trust Fund, is that what you're talking about? That's just a state program. I don't know if that's what you're talking
No,
about.
I think it has to do with,
Yeah, you need to talk into the mic, Art. Thank you.
oh, I'm sorry. I think that has to do with retiree health benefits. It's an obligation that the authority, I think all the authorities have the same obligation. I think the town may be having to look at that as well for the future. But that's what that is. It protects the interest of the authority, the financial interest of the authority, to ensure that the funding is not a burden that's put on everybody at a later date. The money is there to pay for the retirees.
Well, I just heard about it today, to say, yeah.
There's no separate fund out there. Everything is on the books and up front. The auditor was, as a matter of fact, our auditor was your auditor. He was here last week to tell you we were fine.
I'm just asking you, is there, someone told me there's a trust fund, there's like $5 million in it, and it goes towards, I'm sorry, I'm just asking you because I just heard it today, that there's a trust fund. I wish the lady could actually get up and speak, but is this a discussion with somebody from the audience?
No, this is a council discussion.
Is there a trust fund that has $5 million that the employees do not have to contribute to, but it just comes out of off the top of the budget?
You're thinking of it's the retiree health fund.
That's what it's called?
That's where the money goes in.
I'm going to continue with this resolution, and you're a lawyer, and I'll ask for clarification down at the state, but I'm going to ask the council to support this just for, to put it through tonight.
We don't have a problem with what you want to do. As a matter of fact, if you could tell me that the town is allowed to create an ordinance that determines the amount of money that we can then put a discount on.
I'm not going to tell you anything. I
That's
just
fine,
read this
but my
ordinance
understanding
differently.
is that the township cannot supersede a state statute. So I would encourage you and everyone else to talk to the legislature and get it changed.
But this ordinance, I spoke to attorneys, and they interpreted that you could supersede this. You're
Okay,
not
so
involved with
we're
it.
going to
So
go back
we
and
could go
forth
back
on
and
this,
forth,
so,
and he's
yeah.
going to go
It's
cha-ching,
okay, that's
cha-ching.
why we asked our attorney.
Right.
I know, that's why, but I'm going to go.
We'll line up a
forward with
bunch of
that resolution.
attorneys and we'll let them fight it out, cage match.
One of them's going to decide.
Mrs. Walker.
Yes, from listening to all the conversation, I think that we should encourage people to contact their legislator and have it changed at a state level. It seems like the MUA is given the 20% discount. We need to change the income because that is very low for now, and I think that's what we really need to do at this time. Really call your legislator and your senators, have it changed.
Mrs. Panos.
I'm
Mrs.
sorry.
Panos, thank you. Mrs. Walker, you finished? Yes. Anybody else want to be heard or hasn't spoken? Mr. Rosencrantz, quickly?
I just have one question. Do we know how many people we're talking about that receive a discount today? I know that's a number that you probably have. All
Currently, it's about 478.
right, thank you.
I forgot to just ask one thing.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I know you're giving the 20%, and people are talking about you could possibly raise that up. I want everybody to keep in mind, though, someone has to pay for that, and there are a lot of families out there with young children, and that burden would be shifted to them. So we have to think about that.
Yep. So,
I get a second bite, everybody else.
okay, go ahead, Mrs. Panos. Go ahead, go ahead.
So listen,
You need the mic.
Speak into the mic.
okay, and I understand that somebody has to pay for it. There's 470 people. Hopefully, we could double and triple that number. But these seniors have been subsidizing, technically, they've been paying for sewer that they don't use. They have a minimum this and minimum that. So I don't see a problem if this, when the lawyers decide on if this is, you're going to say no, and I'm going to find out if it's yes or no. Then I'm going to come back and say, listen, instead of giving them 20%, if you are under $10,000, you're borderline poverty level. And if that's going to be it, I'm going to come back and look for a resolution for 50%. They've been subsidizing the rest of the town by paying that extra sewer and water anyway. So we'll go with that forward tonight. If that doesn't work out, we have to give relief to more people than 20% 20% if you're $10,000 for sewer you're getting 20% off sewer that you're not using anyway, that you're being charged for. So we'll see this again. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll just close up the council comments. So, obviously, I think there's an understanding from the public and from the council and hopefully from the MUA that seniors have spoken time and time again about their water and sewer bills, particularly on the sewer side, about their concerns, just like taxes, just like water and sewer, because they're on limited incomes, right? We had a discussion tonight about the statute and about the resolution that's on the agenda, and I understand what the lawyer says respectfully, and I think the only lever the MUA has, I think Mr. Haney mentioned this, was the percentage, and I know it's 20% now. Would the MUA be willing to at least do, and again, I'm saying this in the context of that we don't want to ruin your operating budget, right? So obviously, understanding that if you take money away if you give money from one group, it comes from another group, I get that, right? The pie's only so big. But would you guys be willing to at least look at, do like a return on investment to say, gee, if we upped it by, 2%, what would that do to our bottom line kind of thing? I mean, is that reasonable just to ask the question, to do some sort of a study, non-binding, you're not being held to anything, just so the public can say, look, the MUA is looking at this and we're trying to understand what it's going to do to operations. Is that reasonable, or is that something you guys could look at, or?
We have no problem looking at it. We have no problem looking at it. We have, in the past, looked at it. The point of the whole thing is that we've been doing this for 20 years.
Understood.
When the law came out and said we could do this.
No, I get that. We went through that, but I'm talking about the percentage.
As time went on, we doubled it. We went from 10% to 20%.
Mm-hmm.
And so we do look at this type of thing and watch this thing and see what's happening with it. So we don't have a problem looking at it. And that's what we've done in the past. We've looked at it, and if we found a way of doing this without having a negative impact on other ratepayers, we've taken the opportunity to do that. It's something we do. We care. We're not interested in making things difficult for people. We want to try to make it as
So is that a reasonable request?
We have no problem looking at it and seeing if we can make a determination to make a change.
Okay. So that would be my request, that at least we say that we did our due diligence, and we look, and is there any way we can, change the percentage to a certain point where it's not going to hit your operations, it's not going to be a burden to everybody else is paying for the water and sewer. I mean, whatever the math is, if the math doesn't make sense, I get that. I think the residents will get that. But I think people are looking for what's the next step, right? What can we do to at least try? And again, this is not a shot. This is a discussion, right? You guys laid out your operation, I thought, very thoroughly at the last meeting. Really, we got a good appreciation of what you guys do, et cetera, and the efficiencies. But there is and this, Art, you've been coming to meetings for a long time, and we've heard this time and time again. Seniors are hurting, and if there's something we can do for the seniors without affecting the operation, I think we owe it to our community. So all I'm asking as a council person is, could the MUA go back and look at this and do some sort of an analysis and say, hey, we looked at it, it doesn't make any sense for these reasons, or we could do this percentage and we can help these seniors. That's all I'm asking. Is that reasonable?
We do, and we will,
Okay.
and we don't have a problem. It's the same issues that you run into. You don't want to
Absolutely.
raise
The pie's
taxes
only so
every
big,
year
right?
if you don't
Get
have
it.
to, but you try not to, and unfortunately,
Absolutely.
you get in a position where you have to.
Yep.
But we all try to make it as reasonable as we can and provide the services that are needed within the town. And here, water and wastewater are probably the most critical services available to the public.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, we'll go back into the meeting, and we're at the report of the Township Clerk. Any report?
Yes, I do. Okay, the rabies clinic that was held on October 14th was a success. A little under 200 animals were vaccinated. And just a reminder, Tuesday, November 7th is the general elections. The polls will be open at 6 a.m. in the morning, and they close at 8 p.m. If you should have any questions on what polling place you're supposed to go to, please call the clerk's office, and we will help assist you in that. That's it.
Can I get a motion to accept the Township Clerk's report, please?
I'll move it.
Moved by Mrs. Sohar, second by Dr. Greenberg. Roll call, please, on the report.
Mrs. Dungy?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos? Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Kale?
Yes.
8 yes.
Report of the Township Attorney?
I just wanted to clarify the issue on the Marleybone, Red Zebra LLC. I have a resolution that was passed in 2010 approving the sale to Red Zebra LLC. So I'm not sure, because I heard people say we voted on, and I'm not sure what, because at
Didn't vote
that
on it.
time, it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it was all 9 yeses, and it was Councilman Butler, Cahill, Gillespie, Green, Testino, Volkert, Councilwoman Panos, Sohar, and President Calagera that approved that transfer. And the litigation talked about a go-go bar, so I don't know how much clearer it could be what was going on at that location. And obviously, the judge ruled that the ordinance that was passed, I believe, 95, in 1995, that indicated you couldn't have that type of activity with a liquor license, ruled that it was invalid as to this particular license because it was a pre-existing condition of that license. So at this point, there's absolutely nothing you can do. So I just wanted to be clear. I'm not sure what resolution you were talking about, that when you say "we," I'm assuming you meant this particular council that's here today. Other than that, if you have any questions about it, I have copies of all of the documents from the court, as well as the ordinance, the resolutions, and I'd be more than happy to provide them to anybody who wants them. Okay? That's all.
It really wasn't a report, that was just a clarification.
Right, I
so-
just wanted
Yep.
to make sure that everybody understood.
A comment on the council report, attorney report?
What's that? What? That wasn't a report, that was just a
I just
clarification.
wanted to clarify the Marleybone Red Zebra issue. That's all.
Okay. Moving on to the administrative report, Mr. Shah? Or Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Council. Item number 1, New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, Blue Acres Program. It's hard to believe that it's our 5th-year anniversary of Superstorm Sandy as it approaches. To mark this milestone, the Governor's Office of Recovery and Rebuilding is coordinating press releases and events throughout the state. The Superstorm Sandy Blue Acres team began extending buyout offers to homeowners in Old Bridge Township in April of 2015. A total of 29 buyout offers have been extended to date. 26 out of the 29 offers have been accepted. Demolition of 12 out of the 29 properties have been completed. Hard copies of the October 16th, 2017 NJDEP Old Bridge Buyout Status Summary Report has been forwarded to the Township Clerk's Office for distribution to the Council. Item number 2, Halloween Spooktacular event. The Department of Parks and Recreation will kick off Halloween season with the 2017 Haunted House on October 25th, 2017 through October 27th, 2017 from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. The 2017 Halloween Spooktacular event will be done in conjunction with the Old Bridge Board of Education on October 28, 2017, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Old Bridge Recreation Civic Center with the tent to treat at Carl Sandburg Middle School. The event will include arts, crafts, games, hay rides, music, and pumpkin picking and painting. Costume contest for children and doggies alike, and a Best Scariest Tent costume. For additional information about this spectacular event or other upcoming programs and events, residents should contact the Department of Parks and Recreation at 732-721-5600, extension 4999, or visit the Township website at oldbridge.com. Item number 3, fall curbside leaf collection. The Department of Public Works is scheduled to begin the fall leaf collection program on October 30th, 2017. Each ward will get approximately 2 pickups. Leaves should be placed at the curb in biodegradable paper bags the Sunday night before your scheduled week. For additional information, residents should contact the Department of Public Works at 732-721-5600, extension 6140, or again, visit the Township website. Item number 4, the Old Bridge Municipal Alliance's Mayor Community Forum on October 30th, a week from today, 2017. The Old Bridge Municipal Alliance for the Prevention of Substance Abuse will be hosting another community forum on prescription drugs and opioid heroin abuse entitled Facing an Unpleasant Reality Together, a community action plan to address prescription drug abuse that can lead to heroin opiate abuse. The event will begin at 7 p.m. in the administration building right here in this room. Guest speakers will include Timothy McMahon, Special DEA Agent and Public Information Officer for the New Jersey, and a representative from the medical community. For more information about the forum, residents should contact Karen Tortorici, Municipal Alliance Coordinator, at 732-721-5600, extension 4022. Item number 5, the Senior Center Halloween Party. The tricks and treats continue on October 31st from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Old Bridge Senior Center. The annual Halloween party features lunch and costume contest. Must be 60 years of age or older. For more information on the exciting activities and events scheduled at the Old Bridge Senior Center, residents should pick up the latest copy of the Senior Scene, visit the Township website or the Senior Center, the CEDAR calendar of events, or contact the Senior Center at 732-721-5600, extension 6600. Item number 6, fourth quarter tax payments. The Office of the Tax Collector is open for fourth quarter tax payments Monday through Friday from 8 p.m. to 5 p.m. The office will also be open for business on November 4th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and for extended hours on November 13th from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. My clean teams, Mayor Henry's clean teams, on November 4th, I will be joining the volunteers from Old Bridge Thunder, Girl Scouts Troop 81291, Old Bridge Militia Foundation, and Old Bridge Warriors will be cleaning Beyond Avenue, Shoreline Circle, Marlborough Road, and West Greystone. For additional information, residents should contact the Clean Communities Coordinator at 732-721-5600, extension 6107. Item number 8, the Old Bridge Food Bank Holiday Collections. Anyone wishing to contribute to the food bank this holiday season can drop off donations at the Old Bridge Food Bank or the Senior Center. For additional information and/or a list of needed items, residents should contact the Senior Center at 732-721-5600, extension 6625, or again, visit the Township website. Item number 9, Veterans Day holiday. On November 11th, all municipal offices will be closed in observance of our Veterans Day holiday. Council, that concludes my administrative report. If anyone has any questions on it or any additional items, I will try to answer. If I don't have the answer, I will get it for you.
Questions for Mayor Henry on administrative report? Mrs. Walker.
Yes, item number 2, the Spooktacular. One year, there was cash collected and there was a fee charge. Is that happening this
There
year?
will be no funds collected for us.
Okay, and is this being paid for out of what fund? Is the before and after daycare money being used to commingle the funds this
I
year?
will direct that to our finance.
This will be coming out of the recreation's other expenses line.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other comments, questions about the administrative report?
Can I?
Mr. Rosencrantz.
I just want to break out again and reiterate item number 4 about the Old Bridge Municipal Alliance, the Mayor's Drug Forum. Anyone that knows adults, people with young children, teenagers, it's a good idea to attend this forum. Nobody thinks that their child or a friend of their child is going to be involved in a drug opioid addiction, but it would be good for you to educate, to get some education on this, and bring as many people as you can, because it is a good program and it is informative. And that's October 30th at 7 p.m. here.
Any other comments about the administrative report? Just one comment about the fourth quarter tax payments. You can also do that online. It's eGov, right, Dawn? Yeah, it's really easy. I've done it. If you don't want to go, not that they don't want to go see Dawn and her staff, but you can also do it online. It's nice and easy, so. Any other comments? A motion to accept the administrative report, please. I'll move it. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rosencrantz. Roll call on the administrative report.
Mrs. Dungy?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Mollis? Yes. Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar? Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes.
8 yes.
Moving on to the consent agenda, we have items C1 through C5. Can I get a motion to move it, please?
Move it.
Moved by Mrs. Panos. Can I get a second? Second by Mrs. Dungy. Anybody from the public want to be heard on items C1 through C5? Close the public portion. Any council separations on C1 through C5? Mrs. Walker.
C5?
Any other separations? Okay. Can I get a motion on the balance, 1, 2, 3, and 4?
Move it.
Moved by Mr. Rosencrantz. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Sohar. Thank you. Roll call on the balance, please.
Mrs. Dungy? Yes. Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis? Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes.
8 yes on the balance.
C5, Mrs. Walker?
Yes. After listening to the attorney and the chair of the MUA, it seems like this resolution is non-binding because it doesn't match up with the state statute. Also, we talk about giving seniors a break. If we really want to give the seniors a break, why don't we consider giving them a tax break on the municipal level? Why don't we consider doing a 10 or 20% tax break for the seniors? And also, why don't we consider giving the seniors free permits when they want to fix their house? It's very costly. Why don't we consider that? Because this has no teeth to it. We could actually do something on the municipal level, and I think that's what we should consider.
Any other comment? Anybody else want to be heard?
So the parking fees at the park and rides, we can also waive those fees for the seniors.
Anything
And
else?
also, I want to ask the attorney, since the attorney for the MUA spoke about this, what should we do about this? It doesn't seem the way it is. It matches with the state statute, so it didn't seem like it's correct.
Well, with all due respect, I disagree with his analysis. The plain meaning and the plain reading of the statute specifically says any person residing in the district of the age of 65 or more years. Then it says or. Or is a conjunctive word that associates with other options. And then it goes on to different issues. If you're less than 65, permanently and totally disabled under the Social Security Act, or disabled under any federal law administered by the Veterans Affairs, if the disability is 60% or higher, and the person is either annually eligible to receive assistance under the Pharmaceutical Assistance Program, or has a total income not in excess of $10,000 per year, exclusive of benefits, under any of the following. And then it lists out 3 other areas that you have to consider. With all due respect, I disagree with his opinion. I am going to look at the legislative history, but the plain meaning or the plain reading of this statute clearly says or. It's not and, it's a conjunctive word, or is. And in reading the statute, it's my opinion, is different. So that having been said, I will certainly research the legislative history. But at this point in time, I disagree with his opinion, but that's, again, so.
Well, does
And
the
it's-
town...
Not to interrupt you, Councilman Walker, it's not that it doesn't have any teeth, because the reality is, any resolution you pass can't force the MUA to do anything. They're a separate authority.
Right.
It's just a recommendation of council to them. So ultimately, they're the final arbiters. The legal issue is really a different issue. Take that for what it is. It's just, it's council's request for the MUA to do something. Their attorney tells them that they can't do it. I don't necessarily agree, but I'm going to look to see. I didn't look at the legislation for the enactment, and a lot of times you can get a lot out of that, but on its face, the plain reading, I read it completely different than he does. And that's not unusual for attorneys to differ in opinions. So, but it's not that it doesn't have teeth. It's only a recommendation to the MUA. So you can, as counsel, you can do with it as you wish, okay? But it's really not. For instance, I just did the animal ordinance, and we had a lot of discussion about that, the vicious animals, and that, that statute said shall, and also it restricted municipalities from doing anything outside of what that statute said. With regard to tonight, you can, council can vote, you can table, whatever you want to do, but I will certainly follow up on my research with regard to the legislative intent to see if there's anything that would change my opinion, and I'll certainly let you know at the next meeting.
Okay, also, the township uses the same formula, I gather from this, and since you didn't do your research yet, and I think that we should table it till you come back with it, and I think that it should be included in that, should be a benefit from the town as well. I mean, you're worrying about the MUA budget, well, we should give this back to the citizens as well. I think that should be in here too, 20% tax break for the seniors. Put that in there too.
Comments? Any other comments?
Yes.
Yes.
The statement that there's no teeth in it because of the statute, anybody should know the difference on this council between an ordinance and a resolution. A resolution is a request. It's not a law. I agree with our attorney instead of the attorney who's getting paid by the MUA. It's time to stop kicking the can down the road for the seniors. Okay? This has been going on and on. For 20 years, they've had the same discount. Let's let the buck stop here. Okay? Let's get them this letter out there tonight and said, let's look at it. If the attorneys disagree, well, then it can come back. As far as discounts throughout other entities, yes, I guess that can be, but you know what? We're talking about this entity. We're talking about an entity where seniors have been paying for sewer that they haven't used for who knows how long. So we can't run. The MUA did a great presentation. They run a very efficient system. My water flushes every day. I'm thankful for that, Art. However, it can't be on the backs of the seniors anymore. All right, they pay for sewer they don't use, and the people that get. And let me say something: if it's wrong, but I agree with our attorney. Our attorney was that number 478. There's only 478 people in this whole town who get the discount because they make under $10,000. I doubt very much that those 478 people are going to break the bank of the MUA. If that remains the same, and you're making under $10,000, 478 people, let's give them a 70% discount. How's that? How about only charge them 20% for stuff they don't use?
Okay, any other comments about C5? We're going to go around once. Mrs. Sohar?
I agree with Mrs. Walker. If we're going to look into this and make it something comprehensive, then we should discuss the municipal side as well. I think before we move ahead, we should get all our information together, decide upon how we want to go forward with this, and then put something together. To do something halfway doesn't make any sense. Let's see if we can really do something for seniors rather than just this, one part of it, okay?
Push the can till after
Dungy, you had your hands up?
Yes.
Yeah.
As I said before, my constituents in the 3rd Ward, specifically Madison Park Home Association, they are very concerned about the sewage and the water bill. So if there's anything that we can do to help my seniors over there, I really would appreciate it, and I'll be voting in favor of that.
Anybody else who hasn't spoken? So I'll just finish up by saying the resolution says urging. To the attorney's point, we're not commanding, we have no authority over the authority, we're just urging. I think we had a good discussion about the statute, about what the authority can and can't do. I spoke to Mr. Haney about doing a study, he said he would consider it. I think that's the spirit of what we're talking about right now, really, is a resolution urging the MUA to offer senior citizens a discount. I don't see that's inconsistent with what we just talked about. If it can't happen, it can't happen. And again, we can't order the authority to do anything. So I'll be supporting this. Can I get a motion on C5, please?
Can I make a motion to table it until the
Got a
attorneys
motion?
come back
We have a
with?
motion by Mrs. Panos. We have a
Of
second?
course, just pass it, you have 5 votes.
That's how it works, Mrs. Walker. And by the way, also on the municipal level, you're a councilwoman, and Mrs. Soar is a councilwoman. So if you want to offer discounts, why don't you bring them up during the next budget cycle?
We will.
There you go.
We
There you
will.
go. You can do something. There you go. We got a motion by Mrs. Panos. We have a second? Second by Mr. Miles. Roll call on C5.
Mrs. Dungy?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Can't tell, yeah.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar? Mrs. Walker?
Yes, they already give it.
President Cahill?
Yes.
7 yes, 1 abstention.
Okay. Moving on to ordinance of first reading, FR1, an ordinance granting municipal consent for the operation of a cable television system within the Township of Old Bridge, New Jersey, to SCS TKR LLC, DBA Cablevision of Raritan Valley. I'll be abstaining because I'm an employee of Comcast and not participating in any future discussions. But I'll ask for a motion on this. It's first reading.
Move it.
Moved by Mrs. Panos. Second, please. Second by Mr. Mollis. Roll call on FR1.
Mrs. Dungy?
I'm sorry.
Mrs. Dungy?
Introduction on FR1.
FR1, the Cablevision ordinance for first reading. No.
No.
A vote,
It's an introduction.
introduction on it.
I'm going to abstain on that.
Abstain? Okay. And Dr. Greenberg?
No.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar?
No.
Mrs. Walker?
No.
President Cahill?
Abstain.
3 yes, 3 abstention, 3 no, I'm sorry, and 2 abstain.
Moving on to public comments on any subject matter. Who'd like to be heard? Senator Thompson?
5, I tried to get attention. You got away too quick. I agree with the township attorney as to the interpretation of the state statute. I think it is very clear. It says, any county or municipal utility authority may grant rebates, discounts, etc., to any resident over the age of 65. Then it goes on to tell, under 65 or other conditions and so on, conditions are set. It may be PAD, maybe $10,000, etc. But the first part, over 65, they may grant rebates, discounts, etc., so on. All the rest pertains to people not 65. And I will be happy. I mean, I'm not an attorney, he is. I don't know him, but I know another attorney in his practice, Jim Cleary. I've known him ages. I have a lot of respect for him. And I'm not an attorney, and he is. What I have taken on attorneys in court, as Mr. Haney can tell you, when he was represented by an attorney and I wasn't, his attorney lost. I will be happy to go back to the Office of Legislative Services, who writes these bills. They have a legal staff that writes it. I'll be happy to get you their interpretation of what the bill says, and I think they will agree, just as the township attorney said, that it is very clear. As far as age 65 or older, the authority has the authority to grant them rebates or discounts, etc. Now, it does not say they must. It simply gives them the permission. It does not set any criteria. This issue has come up because the authority had maintained they had to restrict it to people with income of $10,000 or below before we even cited the statute, because that's what the statute covering the township is. That's an entirely different law. And it's been said, oh, we should write another law. Well, it's very clear in the law. Now, I mean, we could write a law saying every utility authority must grant a minimum of so and so, et cetera. But considering how many utility authorities are in the state, I think that'd be inappropriate to say all utility authorities must grant. It says, again, it gives them permission They can set whatever basis they want for seniors. It doesn't say they have to give them all one, and they can set it any way they want it. But don't say there's some other statute that limits them to granting seniors with an income of $10,000 or limits them to PAD eligibility. That is not in the statute today. So it currently says they have the authority to grant rebates to anybody 65 and older that is a resident in any way they determine. It doesn't say they must, but they have the authority to determine how they'll give rebates, who they'll give them to over 65, and et cetera. It's strictly their discretion.
Thank you. Anybody else want to be heard? Karen?
Hi, yes, I was up before speaking about the water bill, and I would like to thank the attorney up on the podium for a ray of sunshine for the seniors of Old Bridge. I would also like to say that if we can't do anything about, first of all, I don't think that you understand what the $10,000 is. It's $10,000 above and beyond what you get for Social Security. That's really not a lot of money. So I don't think we're talking about a lot of money, and it would be a wonderful thing if the MUA follows the guidelines, the criteria of the PR1, which states that you have to be 65 or older, live in your house for over 10 years, and make less than $70,000. And those are the guidelines of the state, okay? And we get a tax freeze because of that. I am on a senior freeze. I would like to see that happen with the OBMUA and the water bills for all the seniors of Old Bridge. And if we can't do anything about the senior water bill, maybe we can take a look at the sewage, a part of the bill that is not metered, where the water company reads our meters for the water bill, but they don't read them for the sewage. That would be wonderful. I wouldn't mind paying for what I use. I have no problem doing that. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
John Murphy, Claridge Court. First of all, I agree with Debbie Walker. We usually follow what the township does. If we're going to do it, of course, I'm sure you're going to agree to do the same 20%. But there's other things. Why don't you lower their taxes? I mean, there must be other things you can do to help the seniors. Now, Lucille said she's been here for, Mrs. Pano said she's been here for 16 years. Why did she wait till tonight to bring this up? Didn't she care about the seniors the last 15 years? I mean, I don't get it. The other thing, she says she doesn't make deals. And I have one question, I can answer this later. Why can Mr. Mollis speak on building? Anything to do with building. He's a builder, but I've seen him approve things that built. Why isn't that the same thing as Anita Greenberg, Mrs. Greenberg? Why are they different? You can answer me later. I may be wrong, but the housing, she says she never made deals. Well, this whole housing thing, how the thing was changed, how they let the apartments build, one person, one councilman, he's not here tonight, I'm not going to say his name, he was the biggest opposer to this. He would fight, and I never thought it was going to happen. He was the biggest opposer until, I don't know who it was probably some senator or something, gave him a job. He comes to the next meeting and votes yes for the building. That's a deal that all of you made. And I don't know if I should even bring this up, but that was, even at her standards, what she did last week was to bring up family, let alone children. If she wants to speak about that, speak about everybody. I'm not going to mention names, but there's other people on this council that have had their families hired. And I'm running an election. And every Republican, every Democrat, every independent running is against the opioid use. She actually confirmed to me a year ago that she almost supported opioid use. And I don't think she wants to go into that, but I will go into it any time that she wants. Thank you.
Anybody else want to be heard from the public? Yes, sir. Wow. Good evening.
Good evening. Philip McGovern, 201 Yorkshire Court in Society Hill. A few council meetings ago, I had spoken about the parking fees on the weekends at the Old Bridge Park and Rides. Does the ordinance, in fact, dictate that fees be charged on Saturday and Sunday? I don't know. I would like to know if the ordinance does say that fees are charged, please pass an ordinance outlawing them. If the ordinance does not say that, stop charging. Thank you.
Anybody else want to be heard from the public? Yes, sir.
Tony Pescitti, 40 Southwood Drive. The discussion about the MUA discount for the seniors, I'm all for helping the seniors. I think it's good. We should be looking at the taxpayer, the residents, and finding ways to help the ones that are struggling in our town. And from walking around town, as you know, I'm running for Ward 5 Council, and as I talk to people around town, there's a lot of problems with our town. We have serious issues that need to be addressed. And, you know, to hear you talking about giving the seniors a discount, I think it's a good idea. But not just the water. Why are we just talking about the water bill? It's kind of odd. Why not talk about, you know, permits, fees, you know, everything else that this, you know, that seniors have to pay for? You know, give them a break on their, you know, municipal tax. You know, they all pay for the school, and they don't have any kids in the school, yet that's not an issue here. It's only the MUA. So to me, it looks like it's a political thing. You know, like you've said, President Cahill, many times, it's silly season. Well, yeah, that's what's going on here. You know, this is like a political thing to try to get people to vote a certain way and then say, oh, you're against the seniors. You know, it's real obvious, and people know. People around town know. I've talked to people, and they see what's going on, and they don't like it, and that's why we had the primary that we had, because people don't like what's going on. And, you know, as elected officials, got to wise up. Take the pulse of what's going on in the residents, what's going on around town, and make some changes, because it ain't working. Thank you.
Anybody else want to be heard from the public?
Bob Thompson, 82 Furman Boulevard, Clifford Beach. One of the issues I want to talk about, because a lot of people, I've been stopping by a lot of houses, and there are a lot of people concerned about that gentleman's club on 34. Now, unless things have changed, I don't go in bars, I don't drink, I have no use for a go-go bar or a gentleman's club. But a gentleman's club leans more towards nude dancing, I believe, than a go-go bar is clothed dancing, and you need a liquor license. Will they, in fact, have a liquor license and be subject to the laws of the ABC?
Yes.
They will.
The name's irrelevant. It's what the activity
No,
that
it's
goes on.
not. No, it's
It
not,
is.
because we have
Sir,
a go-go Rama
I'm not gonna
down
argue.
in
Sir, all right.
in Lawrence Harbor.
You know what?
And they don't have a liquor license. They will have a liquor license. That's all I'm asking.
And I said yes.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else in the public want to be heard? Close the public portion. We have one discussion item left. I'll read it. Cheesequake Fire Company requests waiver of zoning board fees for the placement of an LED sign on their building. Fees for C variance application, $355, and resolution fee, $250, for a total of $605. Mrs. Sohar, this is your item.
Yes, thank you, Brian. They are going, the firehouse would like to do one of those LED signs, which are very common now. Unfortunately, in town here, you need a variance in order to do something like that. So to go before the board, and there's permit fees. I feel that this is a volunteer organization, that the firemen all volunteer their time freely. I think this would be something that, to repay them and say thank you for all the time that they spend in the firehouse protecting us. So I'd like to see if we could get these fees waived for them.
Any other, Mrs. Walker?
My husband's a volunteer. I hope I'm allowed to comment on it. He's not getting anything because he volunteers, so he's not getting anything from this. But they do live on a volunteer budget. the company separate than the fire district, and this is a lot of money for them, and I hope we would consider not only helping them out, but other volunteer organizations that come before, such as the first aid and the other fire companies in town. This is a lot of money for a volunteer organization to pay, and like Mrs. Sohor said, they donate so many hours of their life
there.
to the fire company.
Nowhere without them.
Anybody else want to be heard? Anybody else want to be heard? Mr. Rosencrantz?
Just a comment, what on Tony Pescetti was saying earlier about,
Talking about talking about the discussion item.
sorry, no.
Okay. Mr. Mollis, did you want to be heard?
Yes, I do. I'm also a volunteer fireman in Old Bridge and have been for 46 years. I think we've waived these time and again for all different volunteer outfits, and if it needs a motion, I'll make the motion that we go ahead and waive it. Let's get it done. I know we've moved it when, Mike, when you guys did the addition and stuff like that. You had a problem with permits, and we wound up waiving them fees also. So I can't see any reason why this can't be waived in all of them.
Anybody else in the council want to be heard?
Can we move it up? It's only discussion, so tonight, could we move it up?
It's got to be moved up
Yes.
if we so desire. Is this before the zoning board yet? This is the question I have.
That,
Mr.
I
Petchauer.
guess I'll get to-
I'm going to recognize Mr. Petchauer.
We applied to zoning with a permit, and they refused it based on variances. I guess special circumstances, the sign doesn't meet criteria.
Okay.
So it has to go before the variance board now, if I'm saying that correctly. So in order to
Board
do
of
that,
Planning Board, right?
I
Yeah.
can't be put on the agenda until the fees are waived.
So just so everybody's clear, right? So zoning said, no, you got to go before planning, right?
Got to go before planning or for a variance, I guess.
That's not right.
Okay.
Zoning board. The zoning board, we bring the digital signs to the zoning board because there are conditions that the town puts on these signs.
Okay.
They can't flash, they can't, and so they just make sure that the owner of these digital signs operate them correctly. And in this case, you know, there's every reason in the world to have one in front of the firehouse, times of emergency, when we need to get a message out, we can, and that's one of the criteria that we ask everyone in town who has these digital, that they don't roll, they don't become a distraction to someone driving, they're not dangerous. Some towns, you see them, they blink, they flash, and they're very unsightly, they affect the neighbors. So that's why they go before the zoning board.
Right.
And that's where they would be going before. And I'm sure they'd act
Yep.
favorably on the sign.
It is more for public information.
Sure, absolutely.
Storms.
Right on 34
people.
right there, it makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
it's prime.
Yep.
One question I did have, and that's the reason why I stood up, was we did apply.
No
for-
questions.
We have another permit fee. Oh, I'm sorry. We have another permit fee. I guess the builder of the sign went and applied for the permit, the initial permit for $150. I got a letter back from Susan saying that we overpaid 75, we only owe 75. Would that be waived as well?
It depends, it's up to the council to waive it, so we'll,
I know there are some fees we cannot waive, council cannot waive.
The state
I believe
fees, yeah.
state fees cannot be waived, so I don't know if the building department took that into account, we'll have to look at that, Mike. But any fee that we can waive, I'm sure the council will waive.
So
They
just-
have the authority to waive
right,
that.
so just so I'm clear, and I want to ask Nicole this, the two fees that Mrs. Sohar put on discussion item, those can be waived by the council, correct? I just want to make sure we're not approving something we can't approve, right? So,
They are fees that can be waived, and just to, and I hate to add my 2 cents in, but
Yeah,
it
that's
was
fine.
an application to our zoning officer that was denied, that brings him in front of the zoning board.
zoning board.
Just clarification.
Gotcha, thank you, appreciate it.
Brian, may I?
I'm sorry, Ms. Pownds, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mike, for your service, and of course, we're going to waive fees. I think it was the zoning that was really the issue here.
The formality.
Right,
Formality.
so you know what? We're not formal that, with the fire department that much. We appreciate your service very much.
So, Mr. Attorney, we would need a motion to what? Do we need a?
Well, to bring it up, you need a motion to waive the fees for the variance application, and I don't know what the resolution fee.
Do we need a resolution?
Talking about the resolution.
We'll move it.
Should be on here, I'm not sure what that.
Yeah. What's resolution fee? Do we know what resolution fee is?
That's the attorney.
They charge for that? You're talking about, not township attorney, you're talking about the zoning board attorney? Oh, well, okay, I was wondering, I'm saying we don't charge for resolutions, so.
If we did, we'd make a lot of money, right? Okay. Okay, so we can waive both if we so desire. Okay. So we'd be making a motion to do what now?
To waive those fees?
I know, but what comes next? Do we memorialize it at the next meeting, or do we do it right now? That's what I'm asking.
You can make a motion now to do it.
Okay, all right. Mr. Miles, did you make a motion to waive the fees?
I second.
Okay, Mrs. Panos, second? What, would you like the second instead?
No, I just wanted to ask something.
Okay.
Mike had mentioned to $75. Is that going to be included in there as well?
We said we were gonna check, because we didn't know if it was a state fee or not.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's the other one.
Is that agreeable, Mr. Petchower?
Oh,
You
yes,
good?
I'll check with Nicole.
Okay. Can we have a roll call now, please?
Mrs. Dungy?
Yes.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Kane?
Yes.
8 yes to waive the fees.
You're welcome. Councilmember comments before we do adjournment. Anybody want to speak?
Can I?
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yeah, so earlier, Mr. Pischetti mentioned that he was canvassing town, campaigning, and he heard that the town has serious problems. I think you mentioned it, something like that. I'm also campaigning, and I hear quite a different story. Some of the doors I knock on, the residents think we're doing a great job up here. So your residents look at things differently than the doors that I knock on. We had, let's see. We've been recognized as a safe city. I think we're number 3 in the state. We have a blue ribbon school. We have an accredited police department, accredited senior center. Our bond ratings have been upgraded by Moody's. We've had small and limited tax increases. One year we had no tax increases. So yes, the residents do complain about taxes, and they have to look at their entire tax bill of the 5 or 6 categories that are on it. But the municipal side that we control, we're very conservative, and when the residents see that the 20% that they're paying for their overall property taxes, it really is the other areas. So my residents, once they understand that, they thank me for doing what I'm doing.
Any other councilmember comments before we adjourn? Dr. Greenberg?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment and start out. Everyone is for seniors. It's hard at a certain point in your life when you are living on fixed income, and we hope every senior lives a long, long life. And that's the mystery of life. We never know what tomorrow is going to bring. But we have to be fair to all people. And a lot of things are between attorneys. And one of the things that I find tonight, the word "or" is. But I went on our own township website and how we base the discount for seniors. And it has the word "or" in it. So I just want to read it to you. Senior citizens annual property tax deduction is the heading. Annual deduction of up to $250 from property taxes for homeowners age 65 or older, or disabled, who meet a requirement of less than $10,000 income, excluding Social Security benefits and residency requirements. So if you take the first part without the "or," everyone who's 65 in this town should be getting a $250 discount. And they're not. Okay. Or older. So you keep going, everybody. I want you to live long, a long life. It's good. Sadly, for those that are disabled. But then it has this requirement of less than $10,000 income, excluding Social Security benefits and residency requirements. That is coming from the state. And just like the chairman and also the attorney prior, there are obviously gray areas, and I think this happens a lot of times. If anyone reads law, I've read contracts. I go, why do they make it so complicated? Why don't they just say what they mean? If you look at some of these ordinances, some of these resolutions, by the time you're done reading all the minutiae in there, you say, why did they make it so difficult? So now we're debating what the "or" means, and I'm not sure. So maybe we need a third attorney to look at it, or to go back to the state and really find out what they mean. But what you found here tonight is Everyone does care about the seniors, but I also care about the struggling family that's starting out with several kids and how hard it is for them to meet their bills. Both parents are working now. No one's home with the kids. They're pushed aside a lot of times, put in different programs. So I think of not one segment of the town. I think of the whole entire town. But I think it would be good if we go back to the state legislature and really evaluate this. And I really feel that's where the problem is sometimes in the state. The state has laws that tells us what to do. That's just what happened here with the COA. We don't like it. It happened. So the state has to do a better job. That is what dictates a lot of things that we have to do. But I will be the first to stand up and say, I will do what it takes for the seniors. And if that means if you want to cut a tree down your property, you don't want to pay the tree permit, I'm fine. If you need to retrofit your bathroom, so when you're disabled that you have a safe bathroom, I want to eliminate that permit. I want to get rid of that permit for you with coding and zoning. So we can go on and on. But before we do that, I have to be financially responsible. I have to look at every aspect in the town. So that's why I'm going to request of our business administrator, our CFO, to figure out, now we have 478 homes in our town that meet this qualification, that the MUA never asked them to come fill out a form. They found out from the town, and they just granted that discount. So if you think about all the residents that we have in this town, that is about 1 in 54 or 55 homes meet that qualifications if there's 4 residents, if there's 478. I want to find out if we increase that threshold that we just asked the MUA to do to 32,680, how will that affect how many more residents in town and how that will affect our budget? That is very important for me to know. And if we don't let the seniors pay parking permits, they can park anytime they want. You get a little senior decal. You don't have to pay for the tree. You don't have to pay for code enforcement. How does that affect our budget? So this is what everyone has to realize. We all live in Rollbridge. We all are community residents here. We have to think how this affects how you move forward and how you do things. We all want to help the seniors. We're all, like they said, we're all going to be seniors here today. But I would also like to add one other thing. The sewer, sometimes you're in the wrong room. You have to go to the freeholders. We don't have a sewage treatment plan in this town. And a lot of other things that you have to consider. A lot of things that we abide by were things that happened years ago, even our own water source. So we live in town, and Perth Amboy owns one of our water sources. People probably don't even realize it. So there's a lot of ambiguity here, and we have to do things right. And so I am requesting the town to do a study based on the numbers that we presented here and what we're doing now. And what we'll do, we're eliminating all these fees. And then we'll really find out where we are financially sound and what we can do to help other people. But I'm all in for the seniors. I'm really in for everybody, young, small, tall, green, polka dot, whatever you want to be. I'm for you, if I can help you. Thank you.
Any other comments from council? Mrs. Walker?
Yes, I'm for the seniors as well, but we do have to be responsible up here. We have to be careful. The MUA is given the discount. They're going to see what they can do about increasing it, but they have to watch their budget. Because if we give a lot to the seniors, then struggling families are going to have to pick up. And, you know, we all have started out with children, and it's not easy. And some seniors do have money. So we are for the seniors, and we should do what we can at a township level. Like Mr. Cahill said, let's look at the budget. Well, let's look at the budget, and let's see if the town can help the seniors as much as the MUA is. I think we should step up to the plate, too. And if you look at your tax bill, you have a county portion and a Board of Ed portion. I think everybody should help, because a lot of money goes to the county. We don't really get much back. And the seniors don't have any children in the school, and they pay high. I know I haven't had children in the school system in quite a few years, and I pay a hefty Board of Ed tax myself. So yes, we are for the seniors. But like Dr. Greenberg said, as far as the sewer bill goes, you all need to get as many people as you can and go to that freeholder board, because they are the ones that are driving the sewer cost. They are the ones. We don't have a sewer treatment plant here. We do not. That is true, that we do not. And we did sell our water rights back in the 60s. Perth Amboy owns land right here in Old Bridge, and we have to buy water because the state doesn't let us pull so much out of the ground. So there's a portion of town we have to pay a lot of money for water. And with all this building that's going to be going on that was just approved by some of the council up here, the water rates are going to go up even higher.
Any other council comments?
Yes.
Before we adjourn, Mrs.
I
Panos.
want to say thank you to the council for not kicking the can down the road. We're going to get the answer. Senator Thompson, thank you for your offer to bring it down to the state legislature and get some clarification between the paid attorney and what the state states. Yeah, we all love seniors, and we all love families, and we all love children. Thank you.
Anybody want to be heard before we adjourn? I'll just close by saying I want to wish everybody a happy Halloween. Please be careful, right? Good luck to all the candidates that are running. And motion to adjourn, please. Moved by Mrs. Panos. Can I have a second? Second by Mr. Rosencrantz. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Dungy? Yes. Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis? Mr. Mollis? Yes. Mrs. Panos? Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar? Mrs. Walker? Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes.
8 yes.
We are adjourned.